don't, but we have to try.
Let me get to something that the president just tweeted a moment ago. We can return to the corporate issue in just a sec. But she was talking about arming teachers, talking about some of the things that she'd like to see tried, mental health among them. But let me read the president's most recent tweet here. Armed educators and trusted people who work within a school love our students and will protect them. Very smart people. Must be firearms adept and have annual training. Should get yearly bonus. Shootings will not happen again. A big and very inexpensive deterrent up to states. I want you to react to that. I confess that as I heard the president talk about this, my mind wandered to who taught me in high school. The president narrowed his approach and said, think about gun-adept people. I have trouble defining who that might be. He clarified it further to say vets. That's a very small population of people who taught me in my high school. What do you make of what the president's tweeted to this proposal that he's floated over these last few days?
I mean, honestly, think about it this way. There were several armed police officers that were around my school and they didn't take action. We don't even pay our teachers a living wage in South Florida, to be quite frank with you. They have to pay for most of their supplies. I don't think the solution to this problem is more guns. That's what the NRA wants. That's what these politicians want that are backed by the NRA, is to increase the sales for these gun manufacturers. And that's what they're really trying to work on right here. I don't think that we should be giving our teachers guns if we can't even pay them a living wage. And especially if trained police officers didn't step in to take action to stop this horrifying individual, why would a teacher? And not even to mention that, imagine a scenario where a student is able to get a gun from a teacher after that teacher's been taken out by a school shooter, and that student's trying to protect her or himself. What happens when they get misidentified by a police officer and get killed? Now, the GOP's response to that is going to be more student IDs. That's not the case. You have a split-second decision to decide whether or not it's you or them. In that split second, you don't have time to look at an ID. You have time to pull a trigger.
I don't know if this is the time for counterfactuals. My understanding is you were in Ashley Kerr's classroom. She's the culinary arts teacher at your high school. She, from all I've read, did everything she could to shepherd into that classroom as many students as she could have. How, as you think of that, would things have been different had she had a gun, or one of her colleagues on the faculty had a gun, in terms of what she was able to do to you and 59, 60 of your peers?
Well, think about it this way. No matter where you come out of, you're leaving those students behind, even if you do have a gun. So if you're going after a school shooter, they're going to come after wherever you're coming from and take out all of the soft targets that are in that classroom, like the 65 others that were in mine. In the hypothetical scenario that Ashley Kerr, the teacher that protected me so bravely, along with 65 others, did have a gun, and she started going after the shooter and ended up dying, that shooter would go straight to us and mow us all down. And not to mention the fact that, what if there were multiple shooters? What if there was a fire alarm? Can you imagine the mass chaos and hysteria that would be caused? Imagine all the police officers trying to figure out which gunshots are friendly, which ones are not. They don't have time for that. They need to make decisions, and we don't need any more guns in these scenarios.
You've had a front row seat here as these policy debates have started to coalesce. The president talking about mental health, talking about what law enforcement
and that's
should
good,
do as well.
And I applaud him for that. I really do. Any step at this point is a step in the right direction, but to be quite frank with you, I don't think, in my own opinion, that it's teachers that should be taking the lives of students into their own hands. It should be policymakers that are making sure that these crazy individuals, that these mentally unstable individuals can't get an AR-15.
He's talked about this sheriff's deputy who was a school resource officer at your school. I wonder if you knew of him or interacted with him, and what you make of all of this in light of what the president and others have said about what he did or didn't do on the day of that shooting.
Well, I've tried interviewing him before. He would never go on camera with our school news, but I have interviewed him before. He's a very conservative man, but he just like every other police officer out there, at heart is a good person. He didn't take action in this event, and I can't explain why, or I just can't explain. There are no words to explain why he wouldn't take action to take out this individual. But I think it's a good example of how if he didn't take action and supposedly 4 others didn't, I mean, who does? Who wants to go down the barrel of an AR-15 even with a Glock? And I know that's what these police officers are supposed to do. But they're people too. They need to worry about themselves as well as all the other students, and I don't think teachers need to have that responsibility either.
I want to spend a minute here just asking what these last 10 days have been like for you. You've been foisted